Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us at Liminal for this yet another exciting episode of All About Blockchain, wherein we talk about everything under the roof of this dynamic world of Web3. I am Akansha Sharma, Manager PR and Events at Liminal. Liminal is a wallet infrastructure platform for securing your digital assets. Our customizable plug and play wallet architecture helps crypto native companies improve their operational efficiency, utmost cost optimization. Until now, we have discussed about various aspects related to the blockchain and crypto industry. Taking a step further, we'll be talking about a very trending topic today. That is the impact of regulations on the global crypto market. And for this very topic, we have a equally special guest with us. I would like to introduce Gordon Little, Policy Head, Blockchain Australia. Hi, Gordon. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good too. Thank you for asking. Blockchain Australia encourages and advocates the adoption of blockchain technology by industry and government across Australia as a means to drive innovation in service delivery across all sections of the economy. Paul, I would like to take
Yes,
a small
yes.
minute for
So
you to
maybe I can give you a
introduce.
bit of background about it.
Yes, yes, of course. Please introduce yourself and Blockchain Australia. That would be really nice.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah. So blockchain Australia has been around since about 2016. Like a lot of these associations, it grew out of the, the emergence and growth of cryptocurrencies and has become the peak industry body in Australia for blockchain and crypto. It represents about 120 companies covering a whole range of industries. So we obviously have as members the big exchanges, we have gaming companies, we have health and well-being companies, we have companies focusing on banking and digital ID. So our membership is very, very broad. And it's also the other interesting thing about it is you have a whole bunch of startups and you have some very mature organizations in there. And so we work with all of those groups to help them and to help the evolution of blockchain. And we do that through government advocacy, working with other industry bodies, and then holding events. Last year we had Blockchain Week, which was a resounding success. A whole week of blockchain in 4 different states and hundreds
Yes,
of visitors. So I think that it's a great opportunity to use the association to celebrate what our members are doing and to educate
absolutely.
those who are interacting with them about that.
That's pretty nice because I see a whole lot of momentum going around the industry, wherein we have seen like so many events are taking place, and I think Australia is like emerging itself to become one of the hub for blockchain and in its related innovations.
Yeah, there's a big community here of people who are involved in it, who invest in it, who startups start here. Often when they start here, they'll then go to the U.S. or somewhere else to grow their businesses. But a whole
Right.
bunch of them have started here once or incubated the their use case here and then expanded it offshore. For a range of reasons. Obviously, Australia isn't the biggest in terms of people, but it's got a really, and this is probably relevant for this, it's got a really mature legal system and financial services market that's where the regulations are well understood. So if you're starting in to build a business, you can at least rely on having a good framework of government and parties to interact with.
So, all of you Web3 entrepreneurs, if you are planning to set up your business in Australia, you can hear them out. The legal structure is pretty awesome to
Yeah.
locate and work in. Gordon, since you just said that Blockchain Australia offers a very good platform for all sort of companies, right from the startups to already established companies, as well as allowing government representatives for the advocacy. So, since the Blockchain Australia works very closely with both the industry members and the government representatives across Australia, can you tell us your views on regulating the blockchain industry and what role each of these players play in this?
Yeah. So in Australia, and we'll probably this month have the biggest regulatory response happening. The government issued a very large paper and an exercise called token mapping, which we have to respond to by the 3rd of May. And really, what they're trying to do with that process is say, what are the different types of assets and crypto assets, and which of those would be a financial product and therefore fall within the existing regulation, and which would fall outside that legislation, and do we need additional legislation for those types of assets. So this is a large exercise that the whole industry is undertaking, and it
Mhm.
impacts a whole range of existing banks and custodians, startups. Uh, it will impact the main regulators here, which are ASIC, APRA, the Australian Taxation Office, and Treasury. So it's a very broad document, and it aims to create a framework for identifying whether a digital asset or a crypto asset is a financial services product or not.
So I think that that's very interesting and nice to hear that the government is asking for views from both the sides. It's not just the arbitrary just stating out rules outright, rather inviting the industry participants to share their views and to make it more better and structured. So,
I think yeah, sorry. I was just going to say,
please,
I
please
think what's
continue.
happening is all the governments are struggling to keep pace with
Right,
the sophistication and evolution of the decentralized crypto markets. They're all they're all behind, which is typical of regulators. They're always behind trying to regulate something after it started, and
right,
so there's a bit of a race going on between Europe, the U.S., UK, Singapore, the UEA, Australia, to make sure that uh, that they are protecting consumers,
of course.
but also
Because that is
uh,
also the main concern when it comes to blockchain, because you see because of the lack of regulations, there's always this fear lingering on, wherein the and the users who are using crypto may be harmed. So there's this always this notion going around when it comes to the government side aspect of things.
yeah, and I think with FTX last year happening at the end of the year, it's giving the regulators they think they need to move faster to protect
Right.
consumers, and they also probably have a negative view towards crypto assets that we need to turn around. So we're having, we'll be spending a lot of time making sure that they realize that was fraud. It's not, uh, and that fraud isn't systemic in the industry, and that blockchain and crypto assets have huge value add as they build that ecosystem out. So that's a big part of what the association does as well, is educating government on the value we can bring through our membership.
Talking about value, so how do you think, in your views, will regulations impact the growth and adoption in the crypto market?
Um, really interesting. So I think there's a couple of aspects here. I think that for it to be mainstream, and by
Mhm.
mainstream, I mean not just crypto native people, but people who aren't as digitally sophisticated, possibly. You need to then they need to feel confident that the way they
Right,
interact with it, they're not going to be losing money. And so I think regulators have played a very important role in creating that certainty for people. And I think they're all struggling with how do we do that in a decentralized world where there's no central authority. I can do it with a CDBC, but how do I do it with Bitcoin? There's no one to go to with recourse there, right? And I think that's So they're going to focus more on the part of the industry where there's central authorities or parties selling products and creating them on top of the decentralized chains. But it's very important that they get that right so that we can get more people interacting with it. It becomes more mainstream, and we can realize some of those underlying benefits in efficiency, savings, and really expose Web 3's true potential. And maybe it, yeah, and just maybe if I comment, I think there's a couple of spaces there. You know, identity is important. When AMLK OIC, how do I know who I'm interacting with? The
Right.
government's right. Um, by it actually grew up out of you. No one knows who you are. You can buy and sell this stuff, and it's all secretive, and that scares governments, right?
Right,
And so
right.
we've
I
got to
think that's the most scariest part.
yeah, and you know. I think it's scary as soon as you put material amount of money in it to it too. If you're an individual and it's you're putting a small amount of money, you don't care. But as soon as it becomes a big part of your portfolio, suddenly you start to question, you know, how confident do I feel with who I'm interacting with? And so I think that's important to solve the the identity, money laundering, uh, and the criminal activity around that to make sure that the governments are comfortable with that. I think tax certainty is important for governments to go. Every government has their own tax framework. Am I taxing it as capital? Am I taxing it as income? And so in one geography, you might be taxed under one regime. In another geography, it's another regime. So and if you're a global player in cryptocurrency and you've got clients in multiple geographies, you've got to deal with the tax implications in each of those locations. So tax certainty is certainly another area that we need to that needs to evolve and provide more certainty to the actors that are in there, both clients and product issuers.
Yeah. So I think digging dive more into this very topic, I would like to ask you, like, how, according to you, are the most significant regulations that are impacting the global crypto market today? Because as we just discussed, like how uh, situations or incidents like FTX raise this concern, like how regulations and in the industry is very important, because it not just impacted like a section of the society, but it impacted like a major section of the society in the crypto community, not from just from the consumer point of view, but also from the investor point of view. So
Yeah,
can you please let me know, like, what are the most significant regulations impacting the global crypto market today?
yeah. So really interesting, and there's probably a lot of stuff out there about this. But if you think about the kind of things that went wrong with FTX, those things have gone wrong in normal banking and broking historically, and
Right.
regulations have come in say you can't trade off your balance sheet, you have to keep segregate client money, you can't lend unless you have agreements on lending. So I think those legislations are probably the most important to go make sure that participants in the industry who are carrying out services that are look and smell like existing services that banks and brokers do aren't able
Right.
to divert the kind of rules that were put in place to protect consumers, right? I think, um, and having certainty around that with the nuances that are crypto, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not the ones that are there today aren't necessarily fit for purpose, but those concepts of segregating client assets, not being able to use uh, jurisdictional arbitrage. So I can't go one country to escape it, but sell my product back in there and not have to comply with the laws of that country where the consumers are at. I think those things are and they're all being discussed by regulators. But I think those are the most important. So because we've seen these things happen, they're not. It's not new what happened there, and
Right.
so people spend a lot of time solving that in the past for other types of financial services companies. So I don't think it's insolvable. I think we just got to turn our mind to it and make sure that the way they do solve it, though, doesn't stop innovation. It doesn't stop the industry, right? We want the industry to thrive and grow. So we don't want to be overregulated. We just want to protect people.
Coming to the protection part, so like how, according to you, can crypto businesses ensure compliance with the existing set of rules and regulations?
Yeah. So one of the things that Blockchain Australia did, and they've worked on for a long time, you know, prior to legislation coming in, was they built a certification process for exchanges, and I'm a big fan of this. It was developed before I joined them, but any industry that can self-regulate and show their self-regulation regulating is also going to be look better to regulators than ones who the regulator has to come in and pose. And so the certification process that Blockchain Australia put in place, I think it gives our members confidence that the other members are behaving the way they should. It gives those interacting with them confidence, and it also sets a really good framework to say, because one of the challenges also when you're in an innovative area, you get a lot of people coming into it who have never gone through been a licensing process for a bank or a financial planning or broker. And I think this certification process is a really good process. Have I thought about all of these things? And
Yeah, of course,
you know,
because
helping
I also
companies do
think,
that.
right. So, in the space, you can see there are like very little number of regulatorized businesses that are operating. So, I think that is also one of the key concerns when it comes.
Yeah, that's right. And so we created one where even if they're not regulated by the Australian regulator, they can get certified by Blockchain Australia, and we have an audit process of that, and that can give people interacting with them confidence that they're segregating cash and they're being audited and they have good controls in place on their business.
That's interesting. Would you like to please elaborate more on this?
Yeah, I think I can send you what I might do is I might send you a link to the our website that talks about those steps and how you become certified. But it's about you're having the financial backing, having your controls of how you take money and how you deal with client money, and basically the kind of things that an auditor would check if you were a regulated bank and had to confirm those things. So it's not perfect, but it's a good stepping stone for those who are operating in an unregulated space before they move and become regulated. We do have
Right.
members who are regulated, financial services licenses, and but we also have members who are not quite that, uh, haven't gone through that process yet.
Sure. So, people listening, we'll be dropping that link in the description box. So, please check that out and please go through the regulations, and I'm sure you'll be benefiting from it hugely. Going ahead, Blockchain Australia is the unified voice of the crypto industry, and we at Liminal are extremely proud to be a member of this consortium. So, can you please tell our viewers how are we adding value to the entire ecosystem and about the partnership?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic that you come on board and the space you're in and security, privacy, identity management, it's all it underpins the confidence in what we're doing as an industry. And I think um, it's always exciting also to have new players come in and be part of the organization, sit on the working groups, participate in our roundtables and our interactions, because everyone learns. And it, one of the challenges when you're dealing with innovation and startups is people like to keep their stuff secret, but a lot of this stuff isn't competitively secret. And so a lot of it is just good practice that people should have. And I think what you guys bring is a lot of experience that some of our startups that in our association would benefit from. I think also the fact that you are internationally based is really useful when we're interacting with the local government because you can bring a global voice to the discussion and hopefully prevent them uh, developing regulations which are create conflict with regulations in other countries, and that's what we try to use our international um, members for.
That's lovely. Thank you for sharing that with us. So, moving just in order to just summarize our whole interaction that we had today. So, what would be like a piece of advice that you would like to give crypto businesses looking to navigate the regulatory landscape?
Yeah, I think, and this is particularly true for startups, that navigating the complexity of government agencies, which ones give you grants? Is it a state? Is it a federal? Which regulations, if you are trying to launch your business, do you need to comply with? If you're innovating something new, which departments of these agencies would you need to talk to? We can certainly help with that, and we do help with that through roundtables. We meet with government. We organize breakfasts with them, and we give these people opportunities to talk to them and to hear from government. The the other thing they need to consider is, and that we can help with, is they may want to sell to governments, and a lot of what blockchain is creating networks and utilities. Governments need to
Right.
interact with these. So when you talk about custody and when you talk about identity, government agencies need to interact with whether that's the tax office or the Austrac in Australia, which does anti money laundering. So helping the members to get engagement with them where they're looking for solutions is certainly another area for us where the association can help with that networking, but also help to educate government. That's part of our job as well, because you deal with a lot of people in government who don't know what our members can bring. So we do work hard to try and create those relationships and opportunities for the members to meet. But I just think it's important to not underestimate the opportunity government wants to give you. They create programs, they want to create jobs, they want to create innovation. It's just hard sometimes to actually benefit from those and figure out how to benefit if you're a startup, right? And so
Right.
we can help with that.
I think the major point of concern is also the fact that when you are from the government side, that you have to let those regulations be for a huge community. It's just for the masses, and the crypto community as of now is pretty small, and probably which makes it even more difficult to just think of the ways how it can impact larger societies, which makes it more more time taking process for the government and the agencies to determine like what will go right and what will not.
Yeah, that's right. And it's interesting as it goes from, and it will happen as it goes from cottage industry, and let's just say, um, you know, for example, people have 20, 50, $100 in their wallet. They don't have, not many have 1 million in it, right? But suddenly someone's going to release a game in Web3, and they're going to release some new AR stuff and some interesting things in Web3, and suddenly people's wallets are going to get much fuller, and they're going to interact, and suddenly it will become more mainstream. Because if you go in and you play an online pool game, but you're being paid in crypto, now you need to get that crypto out of there. You need to get into your bank. You need to deal with it in different ways. And I think I'm excited to see what comes from the Web3 infrastructure that's being built,
Of
that's going
course.
to really help take us mainstream. Because I think if we get identity and security right, people can build really interesting things on top of that layer, and gamify your applications and your interactions with cryptocurrencies to really make it mainstream. And I think that's a it's a really exciting space to be in.
Definitely, definitely. I couldn't agree more with you. It's a very exciting space to be in, and I think that's this is the right time to be in the space because going to the bearish market, it's time for innovation and to build and renew what's already existing is there, and just to build on top of that to make it more, exciting.
Yeah, and build it while we're in the bear market, so you're ready to go live when we hit the bull market.
Whole market, definitely, definitely. I think that
And it's
should be the
coming.
plan for all. Yes, making the disruption. Yes. On that note, I think we'll wrap this interaction up. It was lovely having you here, Gordon, with us, and it was really an eye opener for us to have this interaction when we talked about so many things that the Australian government is doing for the Web3 industry, and all the things that blockchain association and the blockchain australia team is doing for the industry as a whole. So thank you so much for taking time today with us and for sharing your valuable thoughts with us, Gordon. Any parting thoughts?
No, just thanks so much, and we're happy to have you in. We want to see you at all our events, so you need to come down and spend time with us.
Oh, definitely, definitely. We will be delighted to be a part of your events, and we are really looking forward to the Magnum Opus event that you host.
Great. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks, Gordon.
Thank
If you want to talk about any specific topic in our upcoming episodes, please do comment and let us know. We come up with new episodes every alternate Thursday, so remember to like and subscribe to our channel. And if you're new to the channel, please hit the like button and let us know your views on our show. Thank you so much for taking our time. It was lovely to have you here. Thank you.